Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. I'm going through the text this year, asking Jesus to clarify for me. And then I write from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. We're reading from A Course in Miracles, Chapter 7, Section 6, From Vigilance to Peace. And we're going to read the last two paragraphs. So paragraph 11 says, perceived without your part in it, God's creation is seen as weak, and those who see themselves as weakened do attack. The attack must be blind, however, because there is nothing to attack. Therefore, they make up images, perceive them as unworthy, and attack them for their unworthiness. This is all the world of the ego is, nothing. It has no meaning. It does not exist. Do not try to understand it, because if you do, you are believing that it can be understood and is therefore capable of being appreciated and loved. That would justify its existence, which cannot be justified. You cannot make the meaningless meaningful. This can only be an insane attempt. It's what we're trying to do, isn't it? To make the meaningless meaningful. Oh man, this brings a lot of clarity to what we see as a world. In an attempt to experience separation from God, we perceived ourselves as no longer whole, since we thought we were no longer part of God. Simply being separate rather than whole made it seem as if we were weak. And feeling weak, we felt defensive, and so we felt the need to attack. But what could we attack? We had to make up images, perceive them as unworthy, and attack them for their unworthiness. Voila. Separate bodies. How perfect is that? We have these bodies that are weak and vulnerable and will ultimately die and decay. These bodies interact in painful and cruel ways. Even with good intentions, they hurt each other. They have twisted the idea of love until it barely resembles itself. Because they were made out of fear, they are fearful. How else can we see these images except as unworthy? All made up. All are serving the purpose of giving us something to defend ourselves against because we made ourselves feel weak. Jesus then warns us not to try to understand the world we made, not to appreciate or love it, because we don't want to justify it. It is meaningless, and we cannot make it meaningful. That's why we're still here. We keep trying to find meaning where there is none. We keep trying to justify our existence as egos. But we're not that. We're not bodies. We're not weak and vulnerable. We're not fearful and guilty. We're not hateful, and we have no need to defend ourselves and nothing to defend against. We're simply confused. However, if we continue trying to understand and improve the illusion, this insane world we imagined, we will continue to think that this is exactly what we are. We could have reason to love and appreciate the world or to hate the world only if the world were meaningful, and it's not. This is why I don't pray for a better, more lovable world, but rather I pray that I awake from the dream of the world. I dream that I live in this hellish experience of confusion and fear, then dream that I die from it. Then I pop back in and dream that this time I will have a better life, and then I will dream for a while and I die. It's an endless cycle of nothing happening. If I did not believe in it, this whole thing would be funny. But as Jesus tells us in the Course, what I believe in is real for me, so it is more tragic than funny. But thank God it is never real. I can wake up from the dreams of life and death. Thank God I'm still as I was created, and my real life has not ceased because part of my mind is involved in this insane dream. Paragraph 12. Allowing insanity to enter your mind means that you have not judged sanity as wholly desirable. If you want something else, you will make something else. But because it is something else, it will attack your thought system and divide your allegiance. You cannot create in this divided state, and you must be vigilant against this divided state because only peace can be extended. Your divided mind is blocking the extension of the kingdom, and its extension is your joy. If you do not extend the kingdom, you're not thinking with your Creator and creating as He created. I want to be one with my Creator and to create as He creates. I want to think as He thinks and to be joyful as He is joyful and be peaceful as He is peaceful. This is possible. No, it's inevitable. But it happens only from a state of mind conducive to this. And the only state of mind from which this is possible is one of wholeness. I can have something else because of the power in my mind. It cannot be real, but I can have it and it will appear real to me. But if I do have it, it will keep me from having what I truly want. Wanting something else disrupts the oneness of the mind from which all things, God, are extended. And so, through my desire for something different, I have deprived myself of something worth having. The solution to this quandary is in my mind. The Holy Spirit will correct all my errors and return my mind to wholeness if I want Him to do so. Just as I had to want something else for it to be manifest, I must want wholeness for me to become aware that I have it, that I am it. If I say I want wholeness, but am unwilling to meet its conditions, then I don't really want it. An example of this process in action would look like this. I'm annoyed with someone I know. I projected onto him and judged my projections. Thus, in my mind, he's now guilty and the cause of my distress. This decision has strengthened my belief in and need for separation. I cannot know wholeness because I believe I need someone else to carry the guilt. And I keep this in place through what I now believe is justified anger. I noticed that my decisions in this matter cost me my peace, so I decided I wanted peace more than I wanted judgment and anger. I asked the Holy Spirit to correct my thinking and heal my mind. Suddenly, I saw what happened, what it was in myself that needed healing, and that I chose to project rather than to face. In withdrawing my projections from this man and allowing them to be healed, I have aligned my mind with truth. I can experience unity with this brother of mine rather than separation. In doing so, I'm reminded of wholeness, and my desire for a permanent state of wholeness increases. I continue this process with each choice for wholeness. I become more willing and more certain that sanity is wholly desired. And then paragraph 13. In this depressing state, the Holy Spirit reminds you gently that you are sad because you are not fulfilling your function as co-creator with God and are therefore depriving yourself of joy. This is not God's choice, but yours. If your mind could be out of accord with God's, you would be willing without meaning. Yet because God's will is unchangeable, no conflict of will is possible. This is the Holy Spirit's perfectly consistent teaching. Creation, not separation, is your will because it is God's. And nothing that opposes this means anything at all. Being a perfect accomplishment, the sonship can only accomplish perfectly, extending the joy in which it was created and identifying itself with both its creator and its creations, knowing they are one. Well, we're confused about the order in which things happen. Our sadness, our guilt, fear, anger, all the emotions we experience seem to be in reaction to something that is happening in our lives. The truth is that our lives are the projection of our beliefs. The belief comes first, then the story that seems to explain the belief. So when I'm sad, it is not because I feel lonely. No one is visiting me or calling me. I believe I can be alone, and I quickly make a story of being alone, which explains the feeling to me. Then the ego says, oh, that's why I'm sad. In this way, I keep myself from knowing that I'm sad because I am not fulfilling my function as co-creator with God. The next time I feel sad, I will remind myself there is no story to explain that sadness. There's only one reason I am sad. I long to be myself. I miss God and I miss my real life. And all the sad stories and the illusions are just reflections of that one thing. I want to return to my place as co-creator with God. I will remind myself that I'm making up all these stories. The truth is very simple. There is God. There is his creation, the sonship, and there are my creations, and they are one. All of this other stuff that seems to exist is just part of a dream of separation. It will disappear as soon as I'm through with it, as soon as I wake up from this dream. Thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I will be back soon with another reading. See you then.